Welcome to day 19. Wow. It's Friday already. Aren't we excited? Whew. Yes. Made it through another week. All right. Well, if you haven't been able to tell, I pre-recorded this, so it's actually like last week, if that makes any sense. But needless to say, I'm excited to know that we are on day 19. Here we are. So, let's go over day 18's 2 exit ticket questions. All right? The first one, which of the following shows 17 and 202 and 200th 1,000th? I had to think about that for a second. 17 and 200th 1,000th in expanded form. 10 comes from that 10. 7 comes from that 7. And now we get into the fraction. Okay? You have 2/10. And this is where a lot of mistakes are going to happen, I believe, as to why people did not choose C as the answer, because they might have thought this would have been in the 100th place, but it's all the way down in the 1,000th place. Therefore, the answer to this question on the exit ticket was C. Let's move on to the next exit ticket question. Which of the following shows 952 thousandths? Catch there. In standard form. So we have our 900th right there. And here's your decimal. 52,000th. Oh, that's where a lot of people made mistakes. They didn't pay attention. They thought it was going to be a 5 here and a 2 here. But they didn't recognize that the last digit needs to be in the thousandths place. Therefore, there's 0 in the tenths place, and 5 in the hundredths, and 2 in the thousandths, making D the correct answer here. All right, since we love decimals so much, we're going to move on to focusing with something else related to decimals, comparing decimals. Oh, Mr. Brisden, why do we have to compare decimals? Well, money is decimals, right? And do you want to know when you're exchanging money if you're getting a good comparison? Right? So, or gas is in decimals. So you want to be able to read the gas and understand how much gas you're getting. So it's very important that you can compare decimals. So let's focus on the how to do that. All right. So here is a chart. It only has ones, tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. In 5th grade, you don't have to go past thousandths. All right. I don't know about that when it comes to 6th grade, though. But we will obviously go past the ones place, into the tens, maybe even to the hundredths. But when we compare decimals, if I'm comparing a number, I'm just going to take, let's say, the number 3 and 42 hundredths compared to 3 and 43 hundredths. The ones are the same. The tenths are the same. It's when I get down to the hundredths. 3 is a higher number than 2, which would mean the second number here is the greater number. Okay? Same thing for a couple other ones. And we're going to do that. I'm going to model that right now for you. So number 1 on your classwork and exit ticket. Here we go. Comparing 2 and 9/10 compared to 3 and 2/10. Well, I don't have to go too far to realize that 3 and 2/10 is larger, because 3 in the ones place is larger than the 1. which means 2 and 9/10 is less than 3 and 2/10. All right, so the next one is number 2 I'm going to model for you. 1 and 76/100th compared to 1 and 67/100th. Well, both numbers are the same in the ones place, but when I move over to the tens place, I see I have a 7 and a 6, which means the first number, 1 and 76/100th, is larger because the 7 is bigger than the 6 in the tens place. You always start working your way over from the left side all the way down to the right side. Okay, just like you read, left to right, which would mean 1 in 76 is greater than 1 in 67/100th. All right, so we're going to have 5 for you to practice before the exit ticket questions, and there'll be 3 on the exit ticket. So let's start off with number 3 here of 2 and 5/100th compared to 2 and 11/100th. Hit the pause button and work on that one now. So as I wrote these two numbers on this place value chart I've created, I can see the 2 is the same in the ones column, but when I get to the tenths column, I have a 0 and a 1. And 1 is bigger than 0, which makes 2 and 11/100th the bigger number. All right, number 4. Go ahead and compare these two numbers. 31 and 8/100th compared to 3 and 100th and 8,000th. Go ahead and do that now. Hit that pause button. All right, so when I wrote it on my place value chart, I didn't have to go too far to realize the first number was the larger number because there's 3 tens in it. There's nothing in this 10. There's no tens. So therefore, the 31 is going to be larger than the 3. Easy peasy. All right, number 5. We have 1 and 1/100th compared to 1 and 1/10th. Go ahead and compare those numbers. Okay, so when I wrote them on my chart, the first number, 1 and 1/100th, and then the second number, 1 and 1/10th, I notice there's a 0 here and a 1 here, and 1 is larger. Therefore, my second number of 1 and 1/10th is the larger number. Let's move on to number 6. Five and 92/100th, 7,000th, compared to 5 and 97/100th, 2,000th. Which one's the larger number? Go ahead and solve that now. Boop. All right, so here we go. We compared our numbers. We have 5 and 92/100th, 7,000th. 5 and 97/100th, 2,000th. There's a 5 in both the ones place. There's 9s in both the tens places. But when we get to the hundredths place, we see I have a 7 compared to a 2. 7 being the larger number, which makes our second number greater. And last but not least, 3 and 95/100th compared to 4 and 35/100th. Hit the pause button and solve that one now. All right, another easy one. I mean, come on, which number is greater? 4 or 3 in the ones place? Obviously, it's going to be 4. So therefore, 3 and 95/100th is less than 4 and 35/100th. Easy peasy. All right, so for your exit ticket, you have 3 more questions to do to prove that you've grown and you've mastered this concept. All right, best of luck, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.